Good to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Jennifer Nisanoff, and it is 11:01. I call this meeting to order. Let's start off by
The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's do a roll call. Jennifer Nisanoff, taking security.
I was gonna say, I don't have all that stuff.
Oh, wrong one.
Landscape.
It would help if I clicked on the right one.
Yeah.
Clover, safety and security. Edgikowski, safety and security.
Dan Potter, GSCDD.
Is there anyone?
Only Georgia.
Good morning, Georgia. You might not be able to respond. I don't know. Is there any public comment today? Okay. We have no minutes to approve. First thing then that we can talk about is the financial report. Have any questions or concerns? I'm just looking at that.
I will, just point out that your contracts for security services came in substantially under budget, so you've got about 120,000 there.
Yep.
And I did get, Stephen Boone provided me a updated as of middle of January financial, unaudited. $8,000 carryover from 2030.
From 23.
From 24, sorry. So that won't come into play until the audit is done, but, so you've got roughly 220,000 in the budget available. Everything else budget.
Yeah. I also noticed that we were a little bit under budget. I was doing some math trying to figure out, well, did they just not bill us for this time? Did they not bill us for that? But I can't seem to make it all fit. So I don't know why. Assuming that each month was the same, I couldn't make it fit. Okay. I don't know that. That's probably a question for Laura, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. And did you say that was 98K? 98K? Okay. I want to make sure I wrote it down correctly. All right. Anything else? Hey, Roger. Oh, here we go. Okay. The next thing then is the speed hump closeout reporting.
So Daniel Potter, this one was brought to me by Chelsea to ask the committee if anybody would like to do a write-up so that we could broadcast it through the public affairs office here out to the community, just to kind of culminate the project now that it's all done. Their permit has been the last thing that they had hung up was finishing out their permit because they had let it elapse and hadn't had all the inspections. So they went back out and finalized all of the inspections, and everything is final on that project as it is closed out. Chelsea's asking that, for some PR, that somebody write up a small blurb so that we can provide it to KW to distro to the community.
Why isn't that coming out of like Randy's group? Isn't that how it usually works?
He'll QA/QC it to make it look pretty and put it on a letterhead, but just the verbiage. If anybody wanted to take it on, she wanted me to run it by you.
A precedent for doing that? I don't remember ever seeing anything coming in.
Trying to set it up so that now we communicate a little bit more effectively with the community. Communication's been one of the biggest issues that I think we've had in, between ourselves, KW, PPCA,
He wants a positive.
Yeah, want some positive PR, and we're looking to just as we do projects. And it seems to be that the safety and security have the highest visibility projects. So
Well, my concern, I'll just put it on the table. So if anybody wants to, yeah, talk about it, is that people know about it. I've gotten a few complaints. But not as many as I would have expected.
I've actually had a few people come to me and say how much better it is.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe I'm paranoid, but I'm worried that if we put something out there, it might go a little negative. I don't know. Am I being too sensitive or?
I'll say on the gateway side, when we do it, it's just common practice at the end of a project to just celebrate the win. That's project management 101. And then to be able to have some positive PR out there on the websites between gateway and between the community.
I just wanted to bring out my concern.
Yeah.
So
I also think that trialing this basically is now stemming into a couple of other areas we might want to look at. And I know that I've put you some traffic about the guardhouse requesting some speed mitigation devices put in that area. So
I wasn't sure widely.
what was shared widely? It was something that I wanted to bring
Oh.
bring up, and I know Jennifer's got it as well.
Yeah, and I can't send it out. to
Okay,
everybody.
I'm saying, I get it.
Yeah, basically, Weiser is saying that people are approaching the guardhouse really fast. And that could be really dangerous. So they asked us if we would talk about it and take a look at it and determine what we might want to do.
Talking about before the car.
Yeah,
Entering or exiting.
Both.
We discussed this first issue first. though?
Yes.
yeah,
Or is that
absolutely.
discussion?
That's what I'm getting ready to
But,
ask,
yeah,
because I
so
had
let's,
submitted something for,
it's on my list of bring up items. I have a list of items for the end. So maybe,
Okay.
how about if I tell you what my bring up items now? I should probably have done that earlier. But I wanted to talk about lighting at the entrance. I wanted to talk about cars speeding at the gatehouse. Get some status on FPL streetlights. A little bit of that's related to the lighting at the entrance. If we have any feedback on the sidewalks. See if we get a traffic study status. See how we're going to get some estimate of options for the stop sign or some other signage at Ozura. And then if we have anything back from Tetra Tech on Aviano Circle. So those are my bring up items. Just mostly stuff. And I'll tell you, the reason it's not on the agenda is my fault. I had some family issues. I was out of town. I saw the agenda 2 days after I could put in any changes. So I thought, well, it's a short agenda. Maybe we'll have
Yeah.
some time to talk about this. So I apologize.
Regarding the speed hump.
Yeah.
I have heard a couple questions. Speed hump, there's a sign that says speed hump, but where a swab, there's a down arrow that say it's here.
Mhm.
That's wasn't part of the specs and it wasn't on there. I'm just wondering if we should put speed hump ahead or something, and then speed hump.
Yeah.
We don't have that down arrow.
So that ends up being a MUCD standardization. And for pedestrians, it's supposed to have 2 warnings, then the down arrow for a pedestrian lane. And that's not considered a pedestrian crossing. That's why that didn't get incorporated into the design. I'm not saying that we couldn't, but that was the original design. Why?
Yeah.
Between white stripes or something that
Yeah.
highlight the white. Between those two, it comes up on people quicker than it is. And then I guess the yellow stripes stop and don't go over the hump.
Yes.
I don't know if you got that.
That-
And, yeah, what's
Yeah.
the reason?
I mean, it wasn't in, I looked at the specs, it wasn't in the specs.
black
to do
stuff.
that.
There's a discussion about whether it was in spec or not spec.
Yeah.
It's in the pictures, but the engineer said it wasn't in spec.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened there, but the other two would be new.
Even the orange reflectors across that would
Yeah.
probably help, but
That's actually the standard I've seen elsewhere is the reflectors, the speed bump reflectors over the speed bump for the median or for the middle lane.
it seems like we could address those things that might improve it.
I know who you got that from. I think I know who you got those from.
But well, I've got some of that from other people too. so.
Okay, okay. Good
My
summary.
wife says, you can't see the white lines, so.
Yeah,
So do they need a recommendation to come before PPAC for that?
For what?
For putting reflectors on?
That I'm gonna end up going back to an engineer and telling me what the standard is on it because I won't put in anything that's not an engineer stamped off for roadways. That's just because it puts us at a risk for liability one way or another. I'd rather put the liability on the engineer of record for it. If they say yes, which I have no problem chasing down to the engineer, if they say yes, move forward with that and that's fine, then and I got that in writing, then I have no problems doing it. That's pretty much how I am with all the roadway stuff. It's just to put the risk elsewhere instead of on the district for just making a decision and then maybe later on it comes back and bites us.
Yeah.
well, is it really that we want them to look at the reflectors, or is it, do we want them to determine the best way of increasing visibility? Because really, we just talked about 3 different ways we could increase visibility. So maybe we
All
really,
3 of them.
Yeah.
right, so maybe, yeah, I'm just asking if we could maybe amend the request to determine what is the best way to make it more visible. We need a motion for that?
Yeah. Give me a
Okay,
motion to seek engineering support for modifying how you just described.
okay, so I would like to make a motion, this is Jennifer, to get an engineering study completed for that area to determine the best way to go about increasing visibility of the speed hump. And that could be one of the 3 things we outlined today, or it could be something else. Maybe there's something else that it can increase visibility.
Do you want those 2 items actually mentioned in the motion?
Sorry,
Please, the 3 items that we
Oh,
talked about need to be,
we could.
was it? Yes.
Okay, well,
I'll include them when I
okay.
touch base with the engineer.
And you wanted it amended, so it wasn't a recommendation, it was a study to provide us
Not-
information.
You said study here.
Oh, you wanted.
You don't want to pay for a study, I promise. Study being it's encompassing a lot more than what we're truly seeking here, including a formalized report, traffic studies. There's a bunch. They'll do more than you really want them to do. So you're seeking recommendation from an engineering firm to give you better visibility on the speed hump, including signage, painting, other visibility markers.
Right. Okay. So I put forth a motion. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay. I think CC was first. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion passes.
Now, would you like me to stay with FTC or FTE? Sorry, the engineer of record for that speed hump, or would you like me to go with Tetra Tech, the district engineer? So that was designed.
I know, that's why I was thinking maybe it might be more interesting to go someplace else because they had one of those recommendations or one of those thoughts and they came back for whatever reason, said, oh, it wasn't part of.
So district engineer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else on, oh, well, we didn't actually finish talking about the actual request here, and that was to write up a closeout.
Yep.
Would anyone like to volunteer to do that?
Actually, I would like to discuss whether or not you do that.
Okay,
My sense is, from all the various exposure that we have here, our community barely reads memos. They are inundated It has been announced at the President's Council meeting. It's been on the website, many places. The minutes of the President's Council meeting have been distributed. Presidents do distribute most of them with their communities. I think it's overkill, quite frankly. I don't think they need to hear it another time.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Any other thoughts?
I hear positives about it every day, multiple times, and in some of the meetings.
Yes.
I would even thought about sending out something unless you brought it up.
Okay.
But I'm a newbie here, so I don't know what that
but
tradition would
Your
do.
voice, yeah.
Right. Well, we don't really have one. We've never done this in our committee.
Might I suggest that we wait till we hear back on what improvements will happen, and then we could send out something that's this.
Oh, I like this.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That makes sense.
So we'll table this to the near future. Yep.
Taking a note for anybody listening on the phone. Yeah. Yeah. It's being recorded too, so I think.
It is. It is being recorded. It is also being streamed on YouTube.
Okay. Stars here. Okay. Yeah. Something I really don't want. Okay. Before announcement. Okay. And moving along. The next thing on the agenda is golf cart alternative for roving patrol. We have some information here from Wiser. They would like to propose that we do a, oops, one side. Okay, they want to replace the guardhouse roving vehicle to a golf cart. And, we are awaiting pricing. The submitted bid says it's 800 per month. For the bar cart, but doesn't say anything about how much gas it takes, how long it runs on a tank, etc. Yet here it says that it's going to be a plug-in, that it's electric. So I'm a little unclear whether it was going to be electric or gas.
We actually prohibit gas in here.
Do we?
You have yes. So that's.
Well, okay. Well, that helps. Do you know what the intent was? It's a little.
I think they were trying to
ambiguous.
switch away from having the lease, the expense of the lease versus a much more reduced price for a golf cart.
But do you know whether it was supposed to be, because it's at one place it's talking about gas, one place it's talking about electric. Was the intent to be electric?
I think the intent's to be electric,
Okay,
which makes me raise eyebrows because if they do that, they need a place to plug into that has reliable and consistent electric. And I can tell you that the guardhouse does not have the consistency that I wish it would have for that.
Well, I've got questions about the whole golf cart thing with leather and everything.
Yeah.
But I've got an electric golf cart. And if I drive all the roads a long time in this neighborhood, my battery is dead. So to do repeat rovers, difficult for an electric car.
yeah.
Run down. Yeah. After you go. House. You go on.
Okay. That's
So that's very interesting. So where do we go with this now? Because of those kind of factors, so how that affect this movement on getting rid of cars?
Well, maybe to get to. Okay. Sorry. I don't know, just.
And you did hear them say that.
I don't know how this falls in, but we can, because the that not allowing is for the PPCA, for the people who register with PPCA
And the golf.
and the golf.
But the CA's maintenance and their vehicles are all gas powered.
Oh, I mean residents registered, yeah, okay. Well, we can just, I was gonna say, we could just go ahead and say we would approve a gas one. But then again, how are they, I still want to understand the cost and how they're gonna get the gas here. And where is it gonna be?
Yes,
Yeah,
I got my
exactly. And, there's gotta be a process in place to do that. I think we need a little more information. We have just the cost of the golf cart.
That's rich. Never getting into the weeds, it's important, got inclement weather. Fishing in the cat, there's some fishing questions I have.
Okay. The other thing we might want to think about is the fact that we know how much it costs for the car. I assume the car is included in the budget because everything
It
is
is.
supposed to be included in the budget. We're under running budget, but we're not quite exactly sure why that is. Maybe we need to investigate this because if we're concerned about the golf cart for all these various reasons, maybe we just ask them if they could just keep with the car.
So from what I gather from what was submitted is Joseph, who is the manager for Wiser now, is just asking whether or not he can go with this option. The contract as it's stated right now is for a gas powered vehicle. So he's just asking,
For a vehicle.
yeah, for a gas powered like automobile like they currently have. That's in the contract. That stays status quo. What he's trying to look at is another option and seeing if that's viable for this committee or for the neighborhood.
That's included in
Yes. No. Correct.
there.
Might be a cost savings opportunity.
Sounds
For
like
that.
a cost saving.
Yes.
Contract price.
I'll say that, maybe
Well-
Yeah,
Exactly.
Or having to modify the guardhouse in order to put in a charging station. Things along those lines.
Yeah,
Okay.
if they're budgeting, then they ought to put in the other accessories, because these guys coming right now, a rainstorm and a golf cart.
Right.
Why don't you just table it for about a year? See if the second year savings are as great as the first year savings. So let's, next year this time we can revisit this. There's no urgency to it.
Everybody okay with that?
I think that has some merit, just merit because they really started changing the schedule and stuff here
Yeah.
recently. So that'll give them some experience with it.
They'll have
So
less
mine,
miles,
after they-
less time on the road.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's timely if we're looking at this today when it's put back.
Yeah. Good weather, you'll have to wander around in. All right, next thing on the agenda. Award consideration Atlantic Southern paving for Aviano, Ravenna, and Pelican Preserve.
Not Pelican Preserve.
Not Pelican Preserve? Wasn't that listed in there?
It was quoted. But they busted the CCNA being able to do an ITQ. They have to go through a formalized process. Their dollar sign was too high. So they broke the 196 and it was 200 plus
Okay.
just for that Pelican Reserve Boulevard section.
All right. I was just thinking back on all the pictures I looked at.
So I have quotes for all the above.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring that back in front of everybody so you could see what the quotes came out at. I believe we had 7 different vendors submit.
Yeah.
There were several piggyback contracts that were in there as well, and it ended up still being Atlantic Southern as the lowest responsive bidder across all three of those road segments. Piggyback contract off of state contract. You can do piggyback contracts without having to competitively solicit through the CCNA laws. So if, say, Lee County has a contract that has a piggyback clause in it, they lock in the numbers for pricing in that contract, and we can go straight to it because they competitively solicited it. So we don't have to go through the formal process. It's real nice because you can pull that contract off the shelf. Do you still honor these pricing? Yes, we do. Great. We move forward with them as a contractor without having to go through a whole vetting process.
We're only considering
Correct.
Any comments, questions, concerns about using Atlantic Southern?
anybody have any issues for what they've done to us already? Issues? Well, they did a Vila.
Mhm.
Renault.
Yeah.
Fabiano.
I think we were happy with those.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the Ravenna is quoted right now for 104,689 or 698.
Yeah.
And Aviano is roughly, I'm a little dyslexic apparently.
Yeah, 53,000 versus 104.
That is not
Here.
purpose.
Yeah, so
But it's double the price.
It might be flip flopped between the two pages. Yeah, it got flip flopped.
Look at this one.
This sheet right here is correct. Aviano is the
Yeah.
104,698. And Ravenna is, yeah, it was a typo error. And Ravenna is
My screen is correct.
and Ravenna is at 53,106.
Exactly. Any other concerns?
That's separate. Cut it out.
Yeah, separately. I still want to do that, but again, this is what 157,000, 158,000 to do these two roads. And I think that when we tackle Pelican Preserve, we should definitely work about timing for the year for season.
We'd all see.
And do it as a formal contract because it exceeds the dollar thresholds.
Well, somebody said if we just did the northbound, they southbound.
It's the entrance to our community. When we do it, we want to do it
I was
right.
kidding.
he never knows.
I know.
Okay, back to, anybody have any questions or concerns about accepting Atlantic Southern for this bid, for the two roads only?
Motion? Yeah, I'll make a motion that we move forward on those two roads.
Atlantic Southern. Okay, do I hear a second?
I say.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Now, it's the follow-up. Will you initiate for them or the Pelican Preserve?
I'll get that one.
Start down the process.
Yeah, on the formal bids.
It has striping. Pelican has striping.
Mhm.
That the others don't have. So I would include it.
Correct.
On that stretch, could we implement the bike lane that?
We already want to get to.
Yes.
I mean, if they're gonna be restriping,
Do it right.
do it according to the bike.
Segment. I can make sure that happens too.
Okay,
Yeah.
can we get, I assume it can be separated, because what we have now, it says striping in kind, which I assume is just what we have now. So if we have the bike lane marking separate, then we know how much that actually costs, just in case it's a little more expensive. than-
Yeah.
There's a possibility that we may not do the bike lanes at all.
Well, that's why I was
So
asking for
there
this,
should be something isolatable.
but that's,
The bike lanes were tabled until we redid.
yeah.
So and it was on sitting tabled until we came back to redo the actual mill and resurface.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's why I asked to have
Have
that
it closed.
separate. Yeah,
Okay.
okay. I just want to make sure I was clear.
Okay, I just also wanted to understand clear.
That's okay. I don't mind clarifying. If I didn't say it well the first time, I'll do it again. Okay,
One of the things,
so,
while you're talking pipeline,
yeah,
just because you're aware, one of the things that I found, I went back and looked at it about city equipment.
ah,
And it requires
oh, yeah.
pedestrian and bicycle pathways to connect all of the.
Yeah.
And we're still under that development order. And the last update that I've seen, that part of it hasn't been completed. So, now they may, whether or not they'll ever come back and say, you know, because at one point it did have, you know, 20 years ago, it did have the bike lane and stuff. And then those got painted over by the district. And I'm just, everybody needs to be aware of
The people get
that.
painted over and long gone.
Right. But whether or not, if out of closing out the development order or anything else, they might come back and.
So are you saying that we're not in compliance?
I mean, it depends on what the definition of pedestrian and, I forget the exact, but it did talk pedestrian and by what pathways connecting all the neighborhoods.
So we're in compliance to what the board of supervisors of Gateway. That may have been conflict with city.
It's a can of worms that we don't want to open up, but.
No, especially if you're out of compliance, because then they could come in and start fining until you do get in compliance, and the costliness of getting in compliance.
And at that, I'm clearly sure what.
Yeah.
Strictly talking.
So that's one we might want to turn a blind eye to.
Good to me. All right, you have what you need?
Mhm.
Okay, terrific. All right, that's the last thing we had on the actual agenda. As I mentioned, I had a few things for walk on. Does anyone else have anything that they'd like to bring up before? Please.
I left it before I can.
No, go ahead.
I've already heard a couple of these things come up. I'd written a note to Georgia, because I at that time was like this Ridge Club. Wasn't sure about the process. I now understand the process, putting it on a form, submitting a week in advance and all that. But in the meantime, I wrote her a note. I had been developing a communication with Mark on a regular basis at the house, front gate house. And that's been very, very good. One day I went up there just to kind of hang out, to look around and just watch, just because he had some concerns. I said, well, let me see what you're talking about. I'll witness it and then I'll bring it up to me. And so I wrote these things to Georgia. But since then, I've seen just in the last couple of days, by the way, I wrote this on Monday morning. Then I've seen some of the corrections already taken place. So I don't know if she's already made some action items. But anyways, I was sitting at the front gate and I asked Mark why that second trap arm was laying in the grass for months. And he goes, well, I don't know. I said, well, talk on your end and I'll talk on my end. I have two further questions about why it's just laying there. Is it broken or whatever? And so in further observation, I was also recollecting when I first got here, both arms were working. And so I was observing the speed of people that were driving up to that first arm. And the arm was completely going through cycle. It would be halfway down and then it went right back up. And I asked them, I said, is that causing a mechanical problem? He goes, yeah, all the time. Oh no. So I further inquired about or for the reason why they don't have that second arm, the trap arm, back in action, because what I observed when I first got here was you would come up to the sign and the line and you'd wait for the car that was in front of you to go through the trap. And then that automatically then would let the first arm go up so that people weren't rushing it. So they're causing mechanical problems from just the overuse of in between cycles and light? He goes, I don't know. So I wrote that to Georgia, that question. So some reason why they can't have that same process, because of what I observed. I'm not there all the time. I was wondering. While I'm standing there, I was looking over at the house, and there was a young lady that was standing on the steps. She wasn't down in the lane. And there was a car that came from behind where the arms were, ran over into the vendor side because they didn't want to wait for the line. And they were, I don't know what the speed was, but it was fast. And I saw the lady just like jump back. And I was like, gosh, that could have been a problem if they hit the curb or if she happened to step down in the lane, which I don't think they do, but whatever. So again, when I talked to Mark, I said, is this a problem? He goes, yeah, all the time. They're approaching this really, really fast. So I wrote these things down. And then I observed that the second arm was put back up, but it's not in that cycle, but it happened like within a day. So I mentioned that. And
Want me to answer this part of it?
yes,
Stuart?
yes.
The intent and purposes was PPAC because you guys weren't for it, was to prevent failure.
Yeah.
We wanted to go through water.
Right.
As that process evolved, problems occurred in season with slowing accidents.
Mhm.
So the decision was made by PPAC and probably 5-6 years that we would have this second arm installed seasonal.
Ah.
So there's a period of time when we would use it. From then to now, we've kind of gotten away. The decision to use or not use could be made here or recommendation, and then take the PPAC. Choices that you had. That was this lobby hospital. One should sort of properly something, but housekeeping.
I also know that Hands Free had to come out. They had scheduled to come out and do some sensor repairs. So we just had them come out. I haven't seen the invoice for it yet. So I'm imagining that they came out and they did some work. I have yet to see the invoicing to close out the PO for it, but they were replacing the light sensors, the bar that go across. So maybe they might have done some other repairs. Yeah.
There seems to be a lot.
I get 2 or 3 a week, it seems. Yeah.
Every couple of weeks or something going on.
Yeah.
At least 2 invoices a week.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So it will have a community impact if we agree upon it. Great, but
Or we could just choose to pull it out and not have the expense.
we could do that.
Well, that's probably half of the issue. So half of it's electrical, and the other half is just people are simply hitting them, whether it be vendors, residents,
Every time.
visitors.
So what did you just take them out?
Take out the second.
Second, track.
Oh, I see.
Car track.
Track.
Right.
But I came in the other day and the first one was down and it was green. You know, just.
Yeah. I know something.
It's less than perfect, but.
Yeah.
So is
Okay,
that
so let's-
being, let's see.
Now, just in regard to quote unquote housekeeping. Also, very often pieces of equipment on the divider, but as you're going through the owner gate to your left on that little divider, there's just hunks of pieces of equipment that have been there for months and months and months. Like, I just, even if Weiser's not responsible, it just seems that just as a matter of basic housekeeping, that they would let somebody know if they observe. Roundish.
See, to your point, in fairness, we've never really managed Wiser. Danny did it for a while. Could have been more robust.
I don't mind doing it.
Rich is involved. I think these things will
I
evolve.
mean, maybe we should have put it in the post orders, say, just advise somebody, town center, anybody, that something needs to be, well,
All right.
Gotta be us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
I
it's just
kind
not
of stuck
very
my nose in
inviting.
last week and all of a sudden I realized I was observing some things and I'm new on the job and out of
We find
Community.
eyes there.
community
Yeah.
awareness, I thought it was worth bringing up. But I don't mind taking on that responsibility because now Mark's hours were changed from
2 to 10.
2 to 10.
He went now, he's 2 to 10.
Is he still the manager or supervisor? What is his title?
He's supervisor.
And
His
he's still
manager is
supervisor.
Joseph Carter. I can give you his point of contact. So he's the overall site and contract manager for Wiser, who's his boss.
Mark.
Mark. Yeah, Mark's the O&M operations manager basically for.
Yeah, he's been very responsive. And he picked up, I also got involved with the flag situation. He just recently had surgery and he called me and says, hey, I might need some help with these flags because the people in the gate can't or don't know how to raise a flag for one day. On inauguration day.
Right.
Then they had to put them back down.
Yeah.
And so I've got a brand new shoulder and I'm not be doing some certain things yet. So I even made a note here. I know that I've been told that they now know they have the responsibility to get the flags up and down.
Right.
And Mark has an app that he gets notices like instantly.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you just let me know if you need some help. I said, but sounds like you got it under control.
He had emailed me as well, but of course Monday was a holiday.
Right.
When he was trying to phone call and reach in, he wasn't being able to get through to anybody that would be able to come help him.
Yeah.
I did hear that people called her that they're just got a recording. Hope you had 24/7 answering.
For emergency services, there's normally one operator that's on call, but there's one person.
Somehow,
I used emergency services for something totally not. This last week, it was 11 p.m. They wanted it. I had.
more work than adult work, but there wasn't a huge fun. Just felt to get everything you could get it, didn't get it.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I'll take that back to Laura so she knows.
So let's see. Yes,
Something of
please.
the mention of Mark's hours being changed. So the flags, obviously changing the flags, that's gonna happen in the morning. His
Correct.
hours are 2 to 10. He's the only guy that can manage. How is this gonna work if the flags have to be changed? For an example would have been,
Well, the exception is that the flags were lowered for President Carter.
Well, sure, right.
And
This isn't gonna
that was
happen
done
very
right away.
often. It was,
And that was done right away. And it sounded like he didn't mind, taking care of that in the morning. We're seeing that it got done. I think is the way he worded it, seeing it got done. But when the issue came up that there was a call from a veteran
For the inauguration.
and he didn't know what to do, you see, because he thought he needed some help.
Yeah.
So by the time we got this resolved, it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, and it's like, shh, it's done, the day's over, it's gonna go back up in the morning. Do you got that covered? He goes, yes, I'll see that it's covered.
okay,
So it's not normally gonna be a problem.
Right. We don't have president style.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
I don't have an inauguration.
Right.
And it's also confusing this year because it was on state level, it was not federal, now going forward, it's the federal level.
That-
So I-
I was gonna make that comment.
Yeah.
When Santos did that. I don't believe that he had the authorization to do that, but
Yeah.
that's a federal, that was a
That's a
federal.
whole different
That's a whole-
story, so it's very surprising.
But anyways,
Yeah.
that's the only reason why I
Okay.
told him at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, I said, don't worry about it because it's a federal mandate.
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing I mentioned to Georgia was, I received a written complaint. I don't know if anybody else did, but there are apparently occurrences where the dwelling life system, because of the variance in the electrical system problem that we have, that when it goes down, so does the gate and so does the dwelling system. And that when that happens, he believes that there is some data loss. And so the written complaint that I have somewhere with all this
He
writing,
being Mark, I'm sorry, he being Mark?
Mark,
Okay,
yes, I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
Mark. And I have an email from someone in the development that's buried here somewhere. But in my summary, I just mentioned there was a complaint in writing. Just to call to your attention, whoever's attention it needs to go to, because it happened to me. I was on my way to the airport and my guy came to pick him up. They wouldn't let him through. So there were two problems. One, he had to let him through, but two, it wasn't in the system. And I know that I called. And so just FYI, whoever knows this.
Man, it's hit or miss up there because
Yeah.
I just had another email come through this morning that said, hey, for security purposes, I've come through twice and I've just gotten waved through. And then on the other side of it, it's like, no, we're not letting anybody through. So
Yeah,
I guess it's about
that too.
consistency of the training that the guards are
He was
receiving.
on the phone later. Yeah. So I don't have to bring that one up because you just brought it up, but that was another thing.
Yeah.
When I was standing there, she was on the phone and instead of talking to the person waiting to be let in, she just goes like this. So there was no check. It was a vendor. Who knows, he or she was supposed to be there, or who was asking.
It's a catch-22 as well, because if they don't answer the phone, then we get
Right.
complaints that they're not answering the phones. So
Exactly.
there's got to be some give. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just noticed that.
Say that if it was power or something power.
That's what I was told.
Are you talking about on phone calls?
On
I've
no
never
on
had a
the
problem.
dwelling system.
I do
The
it.
dwelling live is
I do it
Right.
online. I never have a problem.
I haven't until that one time, and then when I got the written, I was saying, well, gosh, that only happened to me once.
That'd be their computer and everything.
Mine has to be very
I mean, you can buy,
Yeah, that's what he said, internet, interruption. But I'm sorry.
well, dwelling light goes over the internet, so. I GPS systems that plug those things into.
But
Yeah, so if you lose, they'll give you a 3 or 4 hour ups and
give them an 8
all in all, I personally think dwelling live has been an outstanding success.
Mhm.
If somebody over there at the gatehouse or bust, you can pursue that, bring whatever we got to do here. It's
Well,
probably the
it's-
computer sound.
I'll take care of that. I
Yeah.
think the answer is if they have an APC unit there, the power goes down, it takes over for that period of time before the power gets back up.
If we got a generator here.
Yeah.
Never-
Yeah, why
Yeah, it's never-
that is not, that's interesting.
That's why I
Also,
think it's dwelling live is.
As long as the power is on for the generator. Because we ran into that. Whoever installed it originally
they
turned
turned
back
it off.
around and turned it off, left it. And then when we had a storm event, the alternate power didn't trip for the ATS. The
Yeah.
automatic transfer switch didn't flop. Yeah. So then okay, the generator's down and we have no power. And I'm like, well, come out. And you literally put it into on mode, literally had to move the switch to on and the generator started running. So live and learn. I'll pre-check.
Yeah.
You don't want to have
Yeah.
an automatic weekly
I know.
check.
Yeah.
On a set day, set time.
Yes.
30 at 10 o'clock. it kicks in.
Exactly.
Okay.
I have 3 people around me at my house, or, you know, and I'm hearing those generators going on all the time. To the
Yeah.
point where you don't have some-
Okay.
But that's where a small power goes out, it's gonna take a little bit to come on.
Yeah, well, sorry.
A small
Surge protector with a UPS.
computer until the generator comes back on. Otherwise, they all have to reboot.
Yeah.
That can take 3 or 4 minutes and.
Okay.
On a purchase like that, if I wanted to make a recommendation,
It's actually their responsibility for the contract because it's part of their contract, as I recall, is they have to provide the systems.
got it. Okay.
So,
So if it looks reasonable to you, Rich, when you saw the bill, you might have to throw some extra bucks at it.
yeah, but
Okay.
I'd start with why don't you
Um,
just put it in?
That's kind of that gray area.
Yeah,
It is, but why not start that way?
we're working as a team.
That's
So the next item is, so we were talking about these procedures, Mark and I said, have you been reviewing or having any training on the new post orders that were approved? And he goes, no idea what you're talking about. He goes, best of my knowledge, we didn't have a book, whatever.
That's true. They
So-
don't.
Legal review, aren't they?
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Did we ever hear back from Randy about the, that last item? Remember the last item had to do with, I can't remember what the law is, but in case people have injunctions against
Yeah.
people. And, I wrote up some language.
I
for
believe
it.
he copy and pasted it from previous contracts into it. It was just something that had been subtracted from the contract in the past. I have to go back and see what Tony provided, because I asked Tony, I was like, you're telling me I have to have this verbiage in the contract, but yet you didn't provide it to me. Please provide it to me.
Right. Well,
Or an example of.
Well, I did provide language that said you had to have procedures in place in order to comply with the following laws.
Mhm.
And I understand why the contract was redacted. I don't want to know that stuff.
Mhm.
So if that's okay, because I assume that they know how to do it because it's a law, they have to do it wherever they are.
Yeah, it's not unique
Yeah.
to us.
It's not unique to us.
So if the language of they have to comply, using your corporate procedures, comply with this law, if that's good for the post orders, we can make sure that Mark knows. And I'm sure he does, because it's got to be done across the board.
Mhm.
That's the last thing.
That's a
That's the
Tony
last.
issue, though.
Yeah, that's a Tony
Yeah,
issue.
it's the last thing that we had on the orders. He sent me, I don't know, 4 or 5 things. It wasn't much. And between Daniel and me, we figured out what we wanted to put in there.
Yeah.
I put it in there, and we're just waiting on this last step. So he's right. He doesn't have them yet.
So the follow-up.
But he's
when-
seen them.
When you get the answer to that, Jen, follow up with, then we need to have a sit down with.
Yes.
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 To just review.
Yeah.
And make sure that they've got a copy.
And
Yep.
he has seen the version that went to Tony. Because we went through that with him.
Yeah, we went side by side on the tabletop
Yeah.
with them. So we had their feedback in the process as we were going through.
Yeah.
No issues.
No,
No.
he was fine with it all. In fact, he gave us some feedback that was actually really good, and we incorporated.
Yeah.
Didn't change the what we were having them do. Just, can we use this form versus that form kind of thing? Because it would be easier. So it was pretty nice.
I'll try to get a copy, so.
It's out on the
Not talking about-
SharePoint.
Okay. Oh,
With
the
all the
final,
updates.
finalist, because I remember.
Where we are today with my proposed language that's going, well, I think it's with Tony,
It is.
with that last issue. Fully up to date on SharePoint.
Okay, because I
I've just
remember,
been updating the same
I remember
document.
going through all that. I didn't know if
Yeah.
that was the final.
Yeah, I've just been updating the same document. So you can go and see it.
So a point of teaching for anybody that would care to mind my 30-second spiel. Trying to make things where we have more accessibility to these type of documents, being able to share information without really collaborating, but being able to see it and view. I've created a SharePoint page that everybody should have access to, and a link. That I'll have to send back out to everybody. But you to sign in, you'll have to use your district email in order to sign into Microsoft and then get to the SharePoint. But everybody should have access to this site. And in here, there's a folder for safety and security that's got all of the items in it that Jennifer's talking about and that we have been working on in the past probably 6 or
Yeah.
so plus months.
Yeah. I've also got our parking lot out there. I put the parking lot out there. So, the one we've been working on in different meetings, when we have things, that, we're not working on that yet. Let's put it as a future project.
I knew what she was talking about.
TBD, tabled items. Tabled items.
Then I got
I'm
it.
sorry, I'm thinking here.
Yeah.
Also of note in here, I'll do a caveat.
Well, it's called parking lot, so if you see it, don't go crazy and think it's something else, whatever it is. I was calling it parking lot in the meeting, so I
Yeah.
continue calling it that.
Also of note too, I'll put this plug in there for Laura. She has added a folder as well for all financial reports. So all the monthly reporting that she's getting, she's dropping directly in here. So you can see all the financials in real time almost. Much more. I don't know how much in depth she's put in there. I think it's just the fiscal year budgets and the financials. Yeah, here's the invoices are in there. Right. Yeah, she's got invoices in as well. You just got to deep dive a little bit further.
Step, memo. How exactly, what to click,
I can
what
do
you
that.
have to stand on one foot and whistle, or whatever you have to.
Really easy. If you can access your gateway email, in the left-hand corner, because everything now is cloud-based Microsoft. In the left-hand corner, there's a thing that looks like a Rubik's Cube. You click on that, and then you click SharePoint.
But then
And-
you're gonna have
You should, if you have a password to get to your email, you should have a password to get to everything else. No, should not be. It's all one synced Microsoft account. I will happily sit down with anybody and help you get set up. If you need help, tutorial, walk through the whole nine. I will. But
And that could be for all three companies.
absolutely.
One-
So
Oh, yeah, you can.
I want to do some touch points and some training so that everybody, there's people that are more tech savvy than others. And I understand that. And I'm more than happy to help with that so that we can, well,
That's my niche.
the no, I'm aware. SharePoint's actually been around for about 15 plus years, so it's not real new. Some people like it. I prefer it because instead of something going to die in some Y drive off in some tower stack buried where nobody can find it or search it or anything else, SharePoint's much more user friendly and it's very intuitive and it's collaborative. Yeah.
He was, just generally, he was unsure of how to get him on our agenda.
Well, I do now.
We just
but
talked,
yeah.
now you gotta get him on
Right.
everybody. Any of you,
You gotta fill out the form and get it in at least 1 week anyway.
So don't send it to Georgia, send it to the
Agenda.
items. Email.
Email.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Yeah,
That's a bunch of people.
Is it stated on the bottom of the form or something? I just missed it.
At the bottom of the form, you click email form. I've never gotten that to work. I just take that form, stick it in an email, put the agenda items at Gateway District at gatewaydistrict.org.
Yeah, just click that. Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Also warehoused in that SharePoint as well is the template for that. So
Yeah.
little by little building,
We're getting there.
getting better on that side.
You're gonna get tired of hearing all this nickel and dime stuff, but I would. So has anybody noticed, and is there anything that can be done about it? You see joggers, walkers,
In the room.
parts. No, in the bike lane. So the big bike guys going around, people jogging. I was following a person in the cart the other day, and they're driving down the bike lane. I mean, it's just like,
it's not a bike lane, it's a multi-use lane, so it is allowed for people to walk in there and bike and golf cart and, well, I don't know if you.
I learned something. Thank you.
It's not very, it's not.
Daniel,
correct.
that's you, I'm correct.
Yeah.
That's a multi.
I've heard.
It is a multi-use lane for the development work.
Why they're not using sidewalks sometimes, oh, and also bikes can be on sidewalks,
Yes.
just when people are.
I didn't know. I didn't know.
They can be anywhere.
Okay.
Golf carts should not be in that lane.
So actually, talking about all this stuff that I've been observing, my responsibility that Jennifer delegated to me is the Fort Myers Police Department traffic enforcement activity thing. So I've been in touch with Officer Steve Gruber, great guy. I have a little chart where with Julie, when I get a activity report sent to me, I put it in my notebook. Sign, I sign it off, and then I put it in there, so I have matching things. But
You're
my,
paying for the day for you.
pardon,
You're making sure we're only paying for the day for you.
correct,
And you got to report.
correct, but she's been on top, but yeah, she has been commissioned for it.
Oh,
Julie.
from.
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know,
I'll watch them. I didn't say it.
no, I didn't know from where.
My request is, and how do I do this? I have an edit that I would like, and I think when you see it, it's kind of obvious. On the actual activity form, it has golf carts, bikes, doesn't have a cart. So I'm asking for that edit to add auto column. And then down below, I still have Daniel's contact information, his phone numbers and his whatever. Who do I give this to?
Danny Clemens, Daniel.
We created it. So I don't know where the original is. But we can update it and then get it over to Wiser, and then we also need to get it over to Officer Gruber.
Okay.
Yeah,
he didn't care. He said, send me what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
But they really
So,
don't do
I
anything.
don't know where the original is, but if you need somebody to retype it, I can retype that in about 5 minutes. I mean,
Oh, you're great.
And if we had an address for all of our forms somewhere on there, that would be helpful. So if you ever want to update it, you know where to get it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, put that on.
I'll drop it after you give me the template. I'll drop it into the SharePoint so that it's there for historical knowledge management.
oh, I've got them. Remember,
I mean, if they have,
oh, with the edits, I was gonna say, I understood what you wanted, but if you have it all written out, that's even easier.
and I'm amazed. I'm amazed at the crazy things that these officers are finding out there.
Yeah.
They talk about City of Fort Myers level.
Well, the city of Fort Myers, I don't track, but I do with our guys.
When people go on Facebook and say, watch out, the cop is on the corner or whatever, I think that's such a mistake.
It's not just people not stopping before the white line or the stop sign or just creeping across the line. We're talking about running the stop signs. License plate obscured.
Obscured.
One guy was on the cell phone driving his golf cart. Right away. Someone gave a person right away when it was there. They were actually in the intersection to give them the right away. Ran stop sign, not full stops, a lot of them. Speed. Expired registration. So he pulled him over, going through stop sign. He says, by the way, your registration is expired. It was just amazing. These are our guys. This is not what Frederick's finding. Fort Myers. Okay, so got the form. I mentioned to Gruber to put on his list Viadana. Is that still a problem? Are we still getting complaints over there? What particular is it? Speed, stops? What is it? Speed? That's what I thought. Told him I thought it was. So he's put it on his list.
Everybody gets a speed hump.
Well, and now you're talking about this. I mean, we want to talk about other places that we're going to start finding that we might want to request. No problem. Might be other places where we want to put some of those bumps, because I think that's a great design, in my opinion. So that's something that wasn't on my notes. I asked Mark about incident reports. I said, I've never received any incident reports. Well, I'm not quite sure we really had any. And then he started going down his path about residents against residents abuse. He said resident complaints, golf carts parked unattended overnight. And I said, by the way, were there any sale signs on? He goes, yeah, one of them. So I guess that may still be a problem where people are parking their
Board has
carts.
just that, the PPCA board. has
We put
addressed
on.
Yeah, I
that.
think I
With a rule,
saw.
with a new
Um, and he actually said, well, he says, can I see the PPCA policy on that cart? So we're educated to know. So who do I ask for that?
Should be on their website.
No, I'll just ask
It's on the
Tom and he'll
PPCA.
tell me.
You can ask Tom, but it's on the PPCA website.
Yeah, Yanni, I would think Yanni,
Okay,
our guest should be able to give you that.
I'll do that. But as far as the incident reports, they have not been complying with that. So I think he got the attention that I haven't gotten anybody. The front issue, lighting issue, I was talking to some of my neighbors and people are complaining about the lights being out and so forth. Nothing new. We all know this. And on one occasion, and I'm just gonna say it, and you can just tell me to move on. It's not my area, but is there some reason why we just can't go ahead and get that problem fixed
Okay, we're
instead of
gonna
waiting
talk
1,
about
2,
that.
3
Yeah,
years?
go for it.
That's on my list. So
Oh, okay. I'll let you have that one.
Let Daniel opine.
Oh yeah, I can opine on it.
Yeah.
They're honestly just at the end of useful life. Every time I put a Band-Aid on them and get them fixed, they go right back down within 24 to 48 hours. I simply just can't employ an electrician to stay on staff long enough because every time I get them fixed, they go right back down, or a different segment of that string goes right back down. So yeah, I'm really leaning towards advising.
The FPL project actually has like a year lead time because it's so large. So we just, before this meeting, chatted about, can we break it up? Can we do the front entrance?
That's my question.
Oh. Oh, is that what it is?
But could we
So
require
the-
it today in anticipation of what's?
I don't know if you want to spend that kind of money for conduit.
Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Just advance that part of the wire. Okay.
All right, well, Ed answered my question.
Nor do you really want them coming through
That was a good idea until I heard the real reason.
when they do the trenchless conduit, where they come in and they bore underneath ground. There is all sorts of dirt, debris, sod being messed up, sidewalks being broken. So I would hold and do it all in one go, just so that you're not doing rework. So they come in, they break on the gateway side. I've got like 50 some odd panels of concrete that need to be replaced because things have been broke. Right, you know, estimating around $60,000 worth of damage at the moment for those sidewalks. You don't want them to come in and run conduit, turn back around a year later and come and do it again after you just got done probably fixing. So, or having to wait with the slip, trip, fall hazard that's out here.
For another reason.
Is the, are the problem, the wiring?
It is a myriad of options that are causing it. A conduit is just eroding, deteriorated past the useful life. Sometimes you can't find where in the system that wire is bad, and it just might be a frayed out, burn up end. Photocells, we've had a lot of issues there.
I'm just saying, here or some of the dollars spent.
Mhm.
All the stuff. You see layout around the gate down to
We like the tree.
trip there and a couple lights beyond them.
Yep.
It's all fed from a trans. That's deteriorating.
Yep.
But that stretch, if you pulled in, that, I mean, that would be easiest fix if they could pull the wire to get you through 18 months or so, but it's probably
Yeah.
to do
I mean,
that.
but then you're still set with equipment that is also aged. You're pulling new wire to old, outdated, end of useful life, light poles and accessories. So, I mean, it's no guarantee that even that $50,000 investment is going to do you a whole lot of good.
But on the other hand.
Yeah, I agree.
What about sensor halogen lights and things like that? Is there any way we could put a temporary solution out instead of?
You're more versed in this than me on that one. Due to the voltage that's there and the setup.
Striking.
It'd have to be some sort of solar.
We could get one of those parking lot lights where they just have a stand with it.
Oh,
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
hear
that
it
would go for a
now.
little bit.
Yeah.
How about extension cords?
yeah, right.
All right,
You're on a
well,
motor, Sienna.
we're trying.
I am, but I just want everybody to know I'm actively engaging with Bentley. I've even utilized West Coast on a couple occasions because of availability. I'm pushing the contractors to address these items. It's just they are legitimately breaking faster than I can schedule people to get out here and put a new Band-Aid on the old Band-Aid.
Yeah.
They're busy right now in Gateway. They're not gonna come here.
Well, Gateway's at about 75% complete. So they're wrapping that up. It's more so the staging and ordering of the supplies for on hand. They won't start a project. Their procedures on this is they won't start a project until they have physical inventory on hand for said project. So they won't go into it with pieces still inbound.
We have last 2 or 3 weeks, I've gone back. Go back. Seems like every time he sends me an update, he's missing things that we had documented from previous. But I think we've got the design pretty close to where they can now do their engineering.
Yeah.
And
that will generate the cost.
that will generate the cost. I think it was estimated that our that they could then do a schedule, but what they projected that it would be sometime in 26 before.
Yep.
And it has to do on lead time anyway, no matter what, even if you use their standard stuff, which Gateway is using pretty standard stuff. over
Yeah.
there, It was a long lead time. Ours is really long just because of the customs, not polls and stuff, but they don't really stock in the so.
So what is your,
They were their estimate back in the fall was that if we signed early in this year, it would be sometime mid 20s.
this year? You think, are we on track to sign in the first quarter of this year?
I think as soon as they come back with the engineering thing, we can do it.
So they did the photometric study, and that's what Ed's going to making sure that based off of the type of poles that we're using and the lumens coming off of them, that you got coverage. That's mandated. Now they're doing the engineering report, which will do the statement of values in it and do the actual breakdown of all of the, all the associated wires, poles, everything else.
Based on our usage and not on a general population road. In other words, we don't need to have the type of lumen that you might have on intersections out in the general population community. When we did the Cypress Grove intersection, we knew what we put in didn't meet PennDOT lumen, but it was better than what we had.
Yeah.
And my question is that the approach we're taking with the rest of the
They're basically meeting some of the minimum residential lighting requirements from residential neighborhoods.
Yes.
They're
Not a highway or, yeah. Yeah.
Good.
And that sort of nice.
So you think we're getting close?
There's multiple levels.
What I heard is we're getting close. What I heard is we're getting close.
Yeah.
Close.
Yeah.
And the issue that we kind of, that we were trying to resolve other than sections, make sure we had good lighting at the intersections where the stop signs and stuff was south of the bridge. There's a stretch of Pelican Boulevard has horrendous lighting. I think there's only 4 lights in that whole stretch. And then, they have carriage lights that are back in the trees and stuff. And so the lights along the Viaduct, and so we reduced some of that, and we've kind of put more lighting from the bridge down to Viaduct, phasing it so it goes from Pelican lighting levels to Viaduct, so it's more of a gradual transition. That's one of the big things with street lighting is you don't want major changes of lighting as you drive down the road. It's otherwise your eyes kind of go.
We also want to be cautious about where we need to people's homes, depending on.
Well, these all have these that
I know you've got that address, but I remember that it came out.
there'll be a lot less, should be a lot less radiant light than from what we have today with thermals. Everything's in that world. So.
Okay, thanks for the status.
Madam Chair, I have more.
Okay,
Complicated.
good, because we have
It's
people.
not magic, but
I know you guys go. So the traffic cloud, how and who, who can I talk with about this evolution of one of my next responsibilities? That is the monitoring systems along the roads. I understand that at some point in time you had a schedule where every 2 weeks it was moved and so on and so on. I have a couple questions because I don't know how old the units are. I know they've been sitting in a storage at the house for who knows how long, a year and a half or whatever long it's been. They've got battery units. These battery units still good. If there was I had some scientific, some good mechanical,
I have the background of that because I was doing that before you took it
and we can
over.
have that conversation.
We can, but how about if we go through some of these other things and if we have a few minutes at the end while we're still in the meeting and it's all nice and legal, I can
Right.
give
Okay.
everybody, because most of you guys are new, so. You can
Okay.
get the-
And that's fine. That's fine because yeah.
It's easy. It's
might be
easy.
budget. It might be a budget question too.
Yeah.
Thank you for the time.
You're welcome. Okay, well, you actually during that helped us address a few things on my list. So that was good. Could you maybe ask Georgia if she could forward that email to everybody? Because,
This one.
yeah, is it okay to forward that to the group? Because you have a lot of good stuff in there.
She got it in
And-
minutes.
Yeah.
That
Or
y'all did.
attach it to the minutes, whichever.
Daniel, we'll attach
I scribbled all over this one, so I need to send you a fresh one.
that
Yeah.
to Daniel.
Should I send it?
Yeah, it needs to be electronic
I'll take
anyway.
care of that.
Because there are probably a couple projects in there that we're gonna wanna talk about. All right, so we,
is it as easy as just ask Georgia, or does it need to come directly from
I
you?
will take care of it immediately after this.
okay,
From
you see that from?
No, for me. It'll come, I have that email. She
Oh.
forwarded it to me.
Oh, okay.
I got a,
Okay,
I got a preview. When things like that come through, she likes to give me a look, a read ahead, so I don't get blindsided by something.
No.
I saw that arm go up. I said, somebody said something to somebody.
Yeah,
She's a
exactly.
lovely lady. She's my favorite.
Oh, yeah, Georgia, yeah, she's there.
She's listening. I hope.
Oh, yeah, she's fantastic. Okay, so we talked about lighting at the entrance.
Mhm.
We talked about cars speeding at the entrance. We need to have a little discussion about that, but it's probably gonna end up being like a little project of some sort. So that's why I thought having that list would be important, because then, we can get some agenda items put on the agenda to talk about it. We talked about the status of FPL streetlights. We talked a little bit about speed traffic study status. So that's wonderful. So we are left with just 3 things left on my list. So thank you for helping me go through my list. First one is sidewalks.
So we've got kind of an inventory right now. Looking to do flumes, and I have Mark Rothenberger looking to work with the Prado HOA president back there. We have not made much headway that way coming out of the holidays. I will reinvigorate that now that we've pulled through the holidays, and I don't have to worry about Christmas lights anymore. To get out there and start addressing some areas where water flow needs to have a place to
Are
go.
you talking algae versus uneven?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct. Technically, they won't be a flume because like a flume that's got a slope on it becomes a slip trip hazard. Doesn't meet any road standards across the board. It'll be a concrete pad that allows water to go out. So I'm going to work in-house to try to get that taken care of and add a couple more of those points in those hazard areas. I have not made a lot of headway on it. Again, just trying to come back from the
Have we
holidays.
get the list of that come through secret fix?
No, it's predominantly going to be in Prado. I can tell you right now, most of the issues are in Prado, but it's going to open up a can of worms as soon as somebody sees we're replacing items, and putting it in. I think there's going to be some.
It's a good proof of concept.
Yeah, so I'm going to run it as a pilot to see if that even alleviates the problem. Because then it's just going to continue to escalate. If the flume doesn't work, then I got to escalate to, do I need to re-pour the concrete, regrade? There's a lot more to it, so.
You need to be careful about presenting the president's list where you'll get a wish list from everyone.
Yes,
You don't want that. You really want.
No,
that.
I'll eat up a budget in a heartbeat.
Yeah. If, I don't know if I wasn't clear on whether you hadn't called Deborah Gentry or if you had, but David Hamilton's probably the person you want to talk to.
Yes, no, David's the one I'm going to work with.
Okay, good.
He was the one that came to the meeting and
Right.
actually voiced wanting to have it done, and
Yeah.
It-
He's the one.
it had pushed down the line, and
Yeah,
now I really want to just get it addressed.
Yeah.
Even if it's just minimal for surface level to show that we're trying to put some effort in.
There are slimy sidewalks back there.
Yep.
I walk them all the time.
All right.
Okay, stop sign at Missouri. Well, stop sign, quote unquote. You were gonna chat with Lycan about options and estimates.
Sorry, refresh my mind about.
Oh, this is the one where a resident came in and said they wanted a stop sign at the intersection of Azura and
Cypress.
Cypress Grove.
And
yeah.
Pedestrian crossing.
They wanted it on site.
Right. Yeah, but we said we didn't know there'd have to be a study, et cetera, et cetera. So Daniel's gonna go check to see what are the other options we might be able to do there that might still meet the need, but wouldn't be
Yeah, they used
such
to
a,
have the little tent.
yeah,
Yep.
but they didn't meet MUFG standards.
You
And
know, that had been there for a long time and then,
right.
I guess I'll do that periodically, but I see that crosswalks for the dogs, like the dog parks down surrounding stuff. So, if people get used to seeing that, maybe that's the cheapest, best solution, and it's just to go with from
Yeah.
stand up mid.
To answer your question, I had primed our engineering on that and it got lost in the holidays. I need to just go back.
Okay.
They were aware that we were looking to do something in that area and that we were going to be asking for some more feedback. This was also an area that I was considering for if we were going to do another speed hump in that area. I don't know what your appetite is for that, but if you do a speed hump, then you have signage that's mandated to go with the speed hump that will slow people. No, the speed hump would be the actual crossing is kind of where everybody likes to drive across right there where the sidewalk ends. That would be I don't know if it's feasible. It's just an idea that I wanted to throw out there. Coming to Pelican Reserve Boulevard. Right there where the light pole that I cannot get replaced that got ran over because I can't find the yeah. But I was thinking do the speed hump as maybe a golf cart path / speed hump. I don't know. Again, I got to talk to the engineers to see what's feasible there and what the recommendation is from the engineering firm.
And then
No, I'm gonna need engineering support on that because you're putting signage on roads. But I did prime them. I just need to go back and talk to Stephen Agapi and find out where he's at with it. Yeah, the stop signs, because of how close it is to the intersection with Cypress and Pelican Preserve Boulevard, I don't think I'll get it approved through the city when I try to go to permit it. So I really need more of the engineering background to tell me for the roadways. I'm semi-savvy in the roadway signage, but not to the level of I can stamp and seal something, and I don't want to touch a road that puts us at liability. So,
and then is that the same category? Aviano Circle? Because that was something that you have to touch about to do, get an estimate of the work, kind of like what we did at the Prado Crescent is what we're calling it.
yeah, I'll have to re-engage that.
Okay, terrific, thanks.
It's two-way. People don't realize it's two-way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we pulled the permit and everything for the original
Conversation at a time.
Sorry.
No, it wasn't.
To go back to the topic, we pulled the original traffic for that is two-way lane all the way around it. So to go back, it's going to be a permit modification if you want to put up any signs. I did find that out. To go to either just a one-way or to put up signs that say that it's a two-lane traffic. They didn't want me to. Yeah.
And it's a sign that says what's already been approved. I understand.
There's really not like a standardized sign that says two-lane traffic around a cul-de-sac. It falls outside of the normal scope, and I don't know why it was ever approved that way to begin with. It's an oddity even to me. I'm like, you go to any other cul-de-sac, it's just a single lane. And out there it's a two-lane. Yeah, it's around that part.
Yeah. Do call them crest.
So
Okay.
Sorry on me. I will chase those. Yeah.
People took good vacations over the holiday time. Okay, you have something else?
I, Daniel, when you and I started working, things we wanted to do, that thing, our road resurfacing budget program going out.
Uh-huh.
And as we thought, you know, in a year or so, we might want to start a sidewalk replacement. And Pelican Boulevard, the stretch down the town center, and to me, I'm just wondering if we should get a task authorization for Tetra Tech or somebody to develop a sidewalk replacement on it would look like. To me, in some places, that looks like the sidewalks are actually below the curb in a lot of places.
Yes, it is.
Standard in Florida is, but Mac, the curb side of the sidewalk is supposed to be one or two. Outside is it, you know, and basically have the specs developed for a sidewalk replacement project that we could just into an RFP, but then also get an estimate of what the cost would be per 1,000 foot or something like that. So that we could, as we go into the budget year, we could have some idea of what a project like that might cost.
For
Or we could do some what ifs to phase in, but then we would have the specs for sidewalk should be reconstructed and might solve as we go. Because if we go through and do the lighting along some of these, you're liable to run into places where some of those stretches we might as well replace the whole thing. And it'd be nice to do it to solve all the drainage problems and everything else when we do it in those areas.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'd be prudent to, after you do the lighting, to come back through and do the sidewalks just in sequentially.
But at least we can do. Put or whatever. And play around with and come.
Yeah.
We would have some idea what it might cost because some of this budget.
I'm definitely gonna have to ask for, I'm gonna do a small task authorization for the Pelican Preserve Boulevard for Tetra Tech to give me the technical specifications to redo. Because they're gonna have to do the inspections of the gutters, the valley gutters along that segment, make sure that none of the stormwater or valley gutters are damaged. On the side roads, as we've been doing asphalt replacement, there hasn't been very many valley gutter issues. No, in the back, that first project that we did back there was some issue with the drainage, and I can't find replacement boxes for some of the concrete boxes that are in the valley gutters out there. They're damaged or disarray. If we go into the main strip, I want to make sure that that's covered so that we're not just replacing asphalt because that's the cheapest route to go, but to actually look at the entire stormwater system that's associated with it.
Product did a great job. Over Valley. Done that in every.
Okay, anything else?
Just general information. One of the items that Rick brought up today about the speed hump and moving it around. My judgment, that would be a kind of an item that the chairman could give to the hour guy to make those movements on a scheduled basis.
You mean traffic?
The traffic stop.
Yeah.
Traffic monitoring.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
We get the one we robust enough, and we know we have good equipment and getting good data. That's kind of a thing that Jennifer can pass on.
So I have to ask the question, why? What is the data collection being used for, and what are you doing with it? So do you want to spend money to have somebody move this item around from
Okay, we
staff?
actually do stuff with some of that.
Okay.
And there was a period of time I would have agreed
Oh.
that
Makes them
it's
aware.
probably nothing, because we had a period of time where we went through and we studied the heck out of the whole development.
Hmm.
And then what we decided, I don't know, a year or so ago, maybe it was before Ian, I don't remember anymore, was that we would only do it if there was a problem identified. So we have a problem identified, and the president of the Adana has been incredibly patient with us as we were trying to get this thing back up and running, where he said there's speeding going on there. So we can go there and we can study it and determine whether there is indeed speeding and how
Opinion or
bad it
fact?
is.
Opinion or fact?
Opinion or fact. And we've done that on a number of other places where we've gone back to usually the HOA, and we've said, yeah, they're speeding everywhere, but is it a problem? No, here's the data.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
that's what it's basically been used for. It was used extensively, before we even put in the rumble strips, because we could really prove that there was a huge speeding
for it.
problem there. We
Okay.
studied it afterwards. We found that it got reduced.
Yeah.
It had unforeseen consequences that we've just mitigated, but having a speed mitigation device there helped. Is there still speeding? Yes, but it has reduced it. So it can be used for things.
Okay.
But yeah, we did go through
Fair
a year.
point.
We said we were.
No, I was just asking for edification. I wasn't trying to sound defensive about it, but
Yeah, there was a period of time where we.
to me, if we're
studied
just
the heck out of everything.
moving it around to move it around and it's not doing anything and it's not enforcing any type of ticketing, or you know what I mean? To me, I was like, what's the point? And why does this fall into a public works lane? That's the question that I ask. First question I always ask is it my asset to manage or take care of? Because that's when I get, and then the second one is the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gateway assets, but yes, I understand what you're
Yes.
saying. The program, we had agreed in this, it might have been even before you came.
it was definitely before me, because
Where
I
it
haven't,
said-
I don't even know what the thing looks like.
Yeah, okay. We said, okay, we don't have a wholesale problem. They're speeding, yes, but it's not as bad as people actually portray it. They see one incident, and I admit some of the incidents are horrible, but.
The golf carts bring the average down.
Oh, okay.
Well, that might be true. That might be true.
I would just be happy if people stopped hitting light poles that I can't find replacements for.
Yeah, so anyway.
The second thing.
Oh, go ahead, no.
The second thing. We have a report where we keep track of our monuments, our the road locations for those monuments. The monument was painted. We keep track of when we painted each monument.
Fair point.
Washed.
Mhm.
If the LED lights have been fixed or repaired or converted. We did pressure washing, then any type of road work we're doing. But anyway, the whole point of this is we have a lot of data. This work form is what Mark and his team
Mhm.
puts out what they did each week, so we can keep track of what they're doing. And is it in line with what the three chairmen want? So we got Jennifer, we got Mark, and we got Doug.
Mhm.
They're supposed to be generating this list. The only reason I'm bringing it up is that you know it's here. And this form is not being as productive as it could be. So we're soliciting ideas of how this thing could be improved, that would service whatever needs you may or may not have. So Daniel, I'll throw this over to you, if that can also be included in the minutes.
Okay.
Just for people, and this is going to all three sections.
So you're suggesting that if we didn't get this traffic monitoring up again, that goes on that?
Absolutely. That's the kind of thing.
And what's-
I don't know how many private authorship, whatever form works best for your needs.
And who controls that data entry and management of that data?
At the present time, I developed a spreadsheet. It was just that blank spreadsheet. Ask Mark or Dan
Rothenberger.
to fill out what they're doing. Don't tell me you worked on a monument. I want to know where you worked on a monument. You know, or if you did LED lighting, which one did you do in a cul-de-sac or whatever? So we're just looking for that straw man to be more beneficial to everyone. Open to any ideas to make it better.
Question, does it include a detail of when the landscape committee approved foliage change with $2,500 that they will allow?
That is another thing, that's another aspect that's gonna be on here. So that if you are in the landscape group, you know that Aviano got it last year. They're not gonna get it this year. Maybe Pistoia hasn't had it in 5 years, but they're all. And that's why we gotta have these dates here.
And Mark Everman has a tracker that has all that
To
data.
make sure that we
It's an
don't,
Excel
the
sheet.
same people get money every year that it's.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And the three chairs meet with, Peggy from PPAC once a month to go over priorities. So hopefully we'll be able to put in priorities, but sometimes they're a little higher level than maybe they should be. So when we start figuring out how we're going to do the traffic studies and some of the other things, we'll be able to.
And she'd mentioned that at the beginning of this meeting. She has one drafted right now that she thought she had
Yeah.
sent. So once she gets that to me, and I adjust the focus of my group accordingly.
Yeah.
So,
We just wanna make sure that you realize that you do
oh,
what our gateway staff does for us.
Yeah.
Safety issues trump all else if there's a.
Yeah.
Problem.
within reason.
Okay.
Ask yourself the question beforehand, is it a gateway asset or not before moving forward? Because that's going to be my first question.
Well-
Because there's a lot of stuff that,
If we're through with all the other things we want to talk about, I'd like to come back to the questions you had, at least for about 5 minutes.
I'm here in this room at 2 o'clock for government meeting, so. then-
Okay. I guess
So,
that's
so
the-
you
Um,
clarified something.
yeah.
One of my questions, so Gateway owns the asset,
Mhm.
the lights and
Yeah,
monitoring systems.
and the
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And the systems are about 2 years old, but they haven't been used in 2 years. They were used for maybe a couple months or so, maybe. I'd have to go back and check. And then Ian hit. So we have they're basically new. They haven't been used much. So they should be good to go.
So
And it's the
when
battery.
technology changes or like a battery goes and they still make
Right.
them or whatever.
Right, then we might have to do something. But we own that equipment. We lease the system.
application,
And we've been
Yeah.
paying for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
the application,
Yeah,
like the online application,
But they own the asset.
right. Gateway
When you
owns
say.
the,
the district.
well, yeah, we're representing Gateway, yeah.
Building was built, the public reserve was built. Gateway floated the bond to put in the piping,
Mhm.
the roads,
Mhm.
the cul-de-sacs, all the ponds. They paid for that, so then we are paying off those bonds.
Mhm.
And there will be at one time, sometime in the future, when everything's paid off.
It is now.
Well, the 2013 is, but we've got it on, but then we might have an opportunity in the future. We can take that over. We're gonna follow whatever study. In a nutshell, it's a lot deeper than that,
Were
but
those your questions? Did I cover everything you were asking before? Can't remember if there was anything else.
Well, that answered a couple of my questions that I was gonna converse with you. But the main thing is that, who's operated in the past, can I get a tutorial from them? I'll probably get a tutorial from,
Call Bree, who I gave you her number. They have classes that you can take and they will schedule it for you.
okay,
I did it before. I didn't take the class. I just went in and played because I'm a tech person. I'm an XIT person. I can go in and play. And as long as it isn't too totally bizarre, I can usually figure it out. I had to call them a couple times. Their customer service is fantastic.
yeah, the one conversation I had, I was.
Yeah, so if I had a question or something, great. They do not update their documentation very well. So every now and then you'll come in there and they will have a new version of the software. But you call them, they'll tell you what changed.
So as of right now, whether it's updated or not, that manual is digital online somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
on their website.
Yeah, the other things are down to the practical things. What is our goal and objective? What kind of schedule, if any, do we want to set up? I mean, what Danny
Right.
was saying, I have similar kind of questions.
Yeah, right now the Adana is the only one we've committed to. If we decide that we want to go forward and look at a traffic calming device someplace, we might want to do a study to see really if it, what's the problem. Because then we can do a study afterwards to show that it helped. And I think that's important because we want to learn stuff as we go along so that we're spending our money wisely. And also it's good to tell the community it helped. It really helped us as we were having problems at Vicenza because we admit it caused weird behavior. that we wouldn't have wanted, but it did slow people down.
I want to tell you,
So we were able to
for
do
the
that.
record, when I goes over the hump, and I'm behind people or people are behind me, they're picking speed back up over the 15 right
I
away.
know.
So that'd be one place I would kind of be curious as to.
Well, we can always study that again now that the speed hump is there. It'd be
Mhm.
interesting to compare that with the
Some
after.
hazards.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the data that we had from after we put in the speed rumble strips, and you have that data.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. Okay, I want to make sure I answered all your
I
questions
guess-
and then everybody can hear.
I'm just,
that.
I mean, I want to be productive and if I should be doing something, I want to learn that equipment. But I think we have some Q&A to go through.
Okay.
And is that something we're going to do in a meeting or after?
Or,
I mean, like what Daniel was asking, I mean, what's
Oh.
going to be our plan? It's going to be what are our goals and objectives. I mean, and then how are we going to
Yeah,
implement? That's what I do. I mean,
Okay.
I need to
No, that's
understand
fine.
that. That's what I do.
put in agenda items, now that we
Okay.
know how to put in an agenda item, because we do have to do it in an open forum. And then everybody can hear what we're doing.
I'm going next one.
And yeah, and do sign up for that training. It's free.
Yeah, I
It's
do.
included in our subscription. I never went through the class, but I suspect it's very good because they're very good at explaining things. At least I found them. to be.
That's great. Thanks. I'm not doing this. I'm doing it if I'm cold.
I know, me too. I know. Anything else from anybody else? We're losing
Thank you,
people.
sir.
We're making great progress, people. I don't know if you all see it, but a year ago, we come to.
Thank you for your help.
And you did make a mention early on about, we're under budget. Yep, we're getting everything done. We're not quite sure why.
Yeah.
I think we all know why, but nevertheless, it's still there. And we have better control, physical control than ever had in the past. We got a lot more money. About.
So maybe how do
Well-
I mention this? I'm going all the way there and on budget. Instead of-
Well, in 10 words or less, the Castle PW did it. They had a budget number every year. It usually went up 3%. All of that comes over to the district and the creation of these new subcommittee. We took that exact dollar amount and moved it over here. The net result of the change, of changing nothing more than who is administering it, so far has resulted in a savings annually on landscaping of about $450,000, and on safety about $130,000. Almost a quarter of a million. Information, well, that's the data. We were very efficient now. The whole time was, I'm sure it was spent on behalf of our residents, but it wasn't in the right column. Now we are in the right column.
And to that point, just one more thing for the, I know this is my favorite soapbox, but we're probably gonna go ahead with FPL anyway, but I really want to understand the business.
You and me both.
So, I took myself a little note to hopefully set up a meeting with Ed. If you'd like to be there, terrific, and Laura, because though we don't know how much it's going to, the FPL stuff is gonna cost, we can take this opportunity to start learning what it costs today and set up something so that we have a spreadsheet ready, so that hopefully it won't be too hard to take the information or the data rather that Ed gets from FPL, plug it in this spreadsheet and just start thinking about what is the difference?
That is vital. If you save money,
And I really.
we're all going down the road because we think we're gonna save money
Right,
and get a better
let's see it.
return.
Now, we might need to do it just because of, it's all gonna fail someday otherwise. But we should be able to figure that out by cost of all the
We
repairs.
know they had the old system between, between Lincoln and
Yeah.
Bentley. The new
Okay,
system-
so I don't want people to be surprised and like to participate, that's great.
Absolutely.
Okay,
You get a motion?
so we're gonna at
You
least,
get a motion?
get started. Oh, we have to have a motion to adjourn. I'm ready to walk out here. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Good, Jen.
Make a motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Excellent. We adjourned at,
I can print it to you today.
well, oh my God.
Don't need it.
Oh, it's like
Sit
six.
there for whenever you do.
Is that long or short?
Oh my God. What?
Long enough. time, the next
I've got a
time.
bazillion